So I just wanted to welcome everybody here to the Napkin Marketing webinar. We're really excited to present this to you today. Right now is the time of year where a lot of marketers and business owners are in their beginning of the year planning, and we like to be able to help and support that whenever possible. And that's something a lot of clients come to us with is basically giving them a roadmap for their marketing and their business. And this time of year is a great time to think about how you want to plan your marketing for the new year. So I know we're still waiting on a number of other people to join, but wanted to see who is on the line right now. Feel free to type your name and just what business you're from so we know who's here joining us. And I'll be happy to do a shout out. But basically the goal here today, can everyone still hear me? I just want to make sure the audio is working. Hey, Janice from Polaris, great to see you. And Matthew, you can still hear me and see everything's working okay now?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to be starting now with the marketing plan, and if you guys can feel free to save your questions till the end. I'll be happy to share this with you and do a Q&A at the end of the session. So what I'll be sharing with you today is I'll be giving you a number of tools to plan your marketing for the year, as well as your business planning overall, and show you the approach we use. It's not the only approach in the world, but you know, having worked in this sector for 20 years without dating myself, we've gathered quite a few tools along the way. So if you're looking to put together a professional marketing plan for your business for the year, I think you'll find quite a lot of valuable tools during this session. So Matthew, if you can flip to my presentation now. I think I'm sharing my screen.
Yep, presentation's on screen. If you want to remove your video, let me know.
Okay, yeah, remove video. Okay, perfect. And just feel free, again, I want to stay in touch with you guys. So if you can feel free to just type in the chat if you can see the presentation okay. So I'll be watching that. Awesome. Okay, perfect. And I'm gonna rely on Matthew to tell me if there's gonna be any technical problems here along the way, but otherwise I'm gonna get started. So this is about creating a marketing plan, writing the roadmap for your business. A little bit about me for those of you who haven't met me before. I've been doing digital marketing since 1999. Sounds really old right now. Started off in corporate marketing for companies like Rogers Media and Yahoo Canada. It really started off, and if you know anything about how marketing departments work at large companies, basically a marketing department becomes the internal marketing agency for that company. So your clients or your internal clients are different departments within the company or different divisions, and you basically are responsible for planning their campaigns, managing the marketing budget, and working with a lot of external vendors, deciding where to advertise. So having the background in corporate marketing with some of the biggest companies in Canada gave me a really solid foundation for starting my own agency. And I like to apply the same principles that I've learned, with organizations like Rogers, Yahoo, Seneca College, and I like to bring them and offer them to small business, because doesn't small and medium-sized businesses deserve to have the same tools and resources that big companies do, and the same level of thinking, strategic thinking. In addition to that, since starting our agency in 2010, we also make sure we work with the best technology vendors available in this industry. So we're right now Google AdWords partners. We're able to manage, strategize, and run your Google AdWords campaign. We're also one of the only MailChimp partners in Canada to do full email marketing and automation. And I also speak at different organizations across Canada, including pretty heavily in the magazine publishing industry, as well as the Writers Associations of Canada. And in our business, worked with hundreds of businesses and organizations of different sizes, B2B as well as B2C businesses and organizations just like yours. I think we're lucky enough to have some of our clients here in the webinar audience. Shout out to Mike Sawchuk, I see there. So I'm excited to present this to you because really our goal at Napkin Marketing is making businesses market smarter and be able to have a roadmap and planning and execution equal to that of a Fortune 500 by giving them the tools and the knowledge to do so. So I think that kind of covers where we are with Napkin Marketing, and Napkin Marketing is definitely not just me. I've got this wonderful team behind me. Matthew's one of our account managers. We've also got on board graphic design, web developer. We're a Canadian-based, Toronto-based company, so we like to do most of our work in-house and in Canada. And it also gives us quality control so that we're able to stay attuned to what's going on in your project. It's not being done in the middle of the night overseas. So that also, I think, is one of our strengths that we offer. And it fell off my slide, but we've also won quite a number of industry and design awards for our websites primarily, and our marketing campaigns. Just a little bit about kind of the spectrum of what we do, everything from SEO, helping you stand out and show up on Google on the first page, to web design. Web design's kind of our bread and butter for the most part, up to email marketing, video marketing, full branding. So really the full spectrum of what you need for marketing and digital for a business nowadays. So where do we start with planning? Now, what I found, even for myself as a professional marketer and definitely for clients, is people don't like to do planning. And people usually start off with business and marketing planning from this place of fear and anxiety. And it's kind of antithetical, but it's kind of the wrong place to start. But it's good to examine why are we scared of planning? Is anyone out there feel free to chime in if we want to make it a group therapy session. If you have a fear of planning, a lot of people are scared of creating a business plan or creating a marketing plan. So they really just a lot of businesses I find, and a lot of even clients we talk to, they run their business by the seat of their pants. They don't create a plan. Their business kind of rolls along. They hope that the customers they had last year will be customers next year. They hope that their salespeople will bring in sales. They're running their business on hope and not on strategy. And when you do that, you're actually putting yourself in a posture of a victim. So when you're not planning, you become a victim of circumstance, and you can't run a business on hope. And I think a lot of us are afraid to plan because we're afraid that the plan might fail. We're afraid that we're not going to stick with our plan. We're afraid of our plan not being perfect. We're afraid that our plan will stifle our creativity in our business. And what I found when we plan effectively is quite the opposite is true. And some of the great thinkers and not just business leaders, but leaders that I follow, writers that I follow, really make planning inspirational. And what I want to do with you guys today is actually get you inspired about planning. Gloria Steinem said that without leaps of an imagination or dreaming, we lose the excitement of possibilities. Dreaming, after all, is a form of planning. So we can tap into so much creativity when we plan for our business. It's an art as well as a science. So while I like this one, planning is bringing the future into the present so you can do something about it now. So don't wait till, that sales slump, or don't wait till, that big customer leaves you, do something about your future right now. And this guy, I don't usually follow military leaders, but I like a good plan today is better than a perfect plan tomorrow. There's also a great quote by General Patton that a bad plan, or something like an imperfect plan well executed, is better than a perfect plan, a week from now. So it's better to have an imperfect plan, and you can see my quote is imperfect. It's great to have an imperfect plan, better than no plan at all, right? So let's follow, something that General Patton and Gloria Steinem agree on can't be wrong, right? So moving on, and also tied together, like when you actually have structure, it makes you more free, because you're not always worried about circumstances affecting you. So that's kind of like the religion aspect of this talk. But to wrap it up is like, the goal here, what do we want the end goal of this planning is, we want to be able at the end of this planning to clearly express our business purpose and core values. A business has to have a purpose, because especially in a bigger organization, when you have multiple people working for you, even when you're in an organization of one and you've got like 3 freelancers who are helping you, if you don't have your clear purpose, you're not going to go anywhere. The other thing is having a clear and organized plan for the year so that you're consistently bringing in a flow of qualified leads. Knowing what your revenue targets are and being able to track if you're hitting them on a regular basis. Knowing where to spend your marketing dollars and knowing where to spend your marketing time most effectively so that you can maximize that lead flow and maximize the number of leads you're getting in. And also having a plan means that you're clear about what you want, so that your employees and your vendors are also clear about what they should be delivering to you. Because if you're not clear about what you want out of your business and what your goals are for the business, you can't complain that your employees are then doing a bad job, because they take their direction from you. So that's kind of the, we don't just think about marketing when we think about a marketing plan, we think about the overall business. And marketing planning is really a mix of doing the research plus what we call the marketing mix, which is sometimes the 4 Ps, price, product. I don't remember the other 2 Ps right now, but it's generally like where you advertise, what your pricing is, and your budget, plus the research you do into the marketplace. So what the model that I'll be walking you through today is a 6-step model of marketing strategy and planning. And I'll be going through each of the 6 steps with you. So it all starts with strategy. As you can guess, I'm a big fan of figuring out your strategy before you get started. The second step is market research, but it's more than market research. It's actually market research and past performance analysis. And I'll be taking you through our model for that. The third part is coming up with your campaigns and coming up with your ideas and figuring out where to advertise. So campaign and media ideas. When I say media, it's really a fancy word for where to advertise to reach your target market. Number 4 is putting together a marketing calendar. Number 5 is executing your marketing plan. And number 6 is measuring performance. So that's the 6 steps we'll be walking through today. And we will have a Q&A, by the way, at the end. If you guys can save up your questions or write down your questions. Let's see. So that's kind of the 6 steps as I think I took you through. And to help you along, Matthew, if you can paste this in the chat, we've got a webinar worksheet that Matthew's going to paste the link for you in the chat that you can actually download, because I'm going to bring up a lot of detailed information and questions you can ask yourself. So have you got that link there, Matthew? He's going to be finding it and pasting that in there. So what I want you guys to do is not just, passively absorb this webinar, but I want this to inspire you to take action on your business. So as we go through this, feel free to download this, feel free to fill it out on your computer so that you can start to take action and get into your planning with the information that's presented.
So the worksheet's now in the chat for anyone who wants to go through and follow.
Perfect. So step one, creating your vision and goals. So just like a house, or in our case more a website needs a blueprint when you get started, your strategy is really the blueprint for your business. And I like to start off with thinking about kind of the key questions that make up your strategy and really your vision for your business. So, what is my vision and core focus for this business? Who's my target market? Who are my target sectors? What's my market positioning? What are your business goals and operational goals and revenue goals? So these are all pretty big, heavy, lofty questions. I'm going to give you some ways to think about these to dive deeper. So when it comes to core values and core focus, why it's really about why does your organization exist? So, it seems like airy, fairy, fluffy stuff, but it's really about, the heart and soul of your organization and what you're all about and the message you want to send out to the world, which is really kind of like the core of what will become your marketing messaging. So it's really important to kind of have a good understanding of what this is about. And a way to think about this, I got a good example recently, is if you think about your perfect employee that you might have in your organization, or even someone outside your organization that you want, like if your business was a person, how would you want them described, right? So, it could be something like ultra organized and one step ahead. More, these are actually, I was thinking of, I don't want to blow our own horn. I was thinking of Napkin marketing core values when I was making this list. And I was like, if Napkin marketing was a person, what kind of person would I want them to be? So I'd be like, very organized, one step ahead, more client than the client. So sometimes, we're in the position as an agency that we're telling, the client that's like, this is your ideal, this is how your brand should be, right? So you got to understand the client more than the client, sometimes understands themselves. Continuously striving for perfection, honesty and integrity in everything we do, encouraging team members to reach their full potential, putting the client's needs first always, and giving people a wow experience. So a lot of this, even though we're a marketing agency, this would probably translate to other businesses as well. Thinking about what you want your organization to be about and what your client experience is about. Core focus is, why does your organization exist? So this is kind of like your mission statement, or sometimes it's even like your elevator speech. So examples of a core focus is, for example, there's an organization, I don't know if you've heard of Creative Commons, but they are copywriting and content sharing organizations. So they stated their core focus as realizing the full potential of the internet, universal access to research and education, full participation in culture to drive a new era of development, growth, and productivity. So this is very lofty. It can even be really simple. Microsoft, when it was first founded, had its core focus or mission statement, a computer on every desk and in every home. Universal Health Services, a health organization, to provide superior quality healthcare services that patients recommend to family and friends, and physicians prefer for their patients. Workday is a HR software, so to put people at the center of their enterprise software. Prezi is like a competitor to PowerPoint, so they said their core focus is to reinvent how people share knowledge, tell stories, and inspire their audiences to act. So, your core focus, or how you want to state that mission statement, will be very custom to you and to your business. It can be as lofty as you want it to be, but ideally it should say something about what your products do and what you want to do in the world. And this is great to share with your customers, to share with your employees, gives people that trajectory to strive for. And the next step is, once you have your core focus and your core values figured out, is figuring out who's your target customer and getting a really in-depth understanding of that, understanding who's that customer and what do they really need. So what we like to do is look at different criteria for B2C and B2B, it's a little bit different, but generally you're looking at demographics, geographics, and psychographics. So the demographics is where do they live, their age, their income, family stage, media habits, so painting a picture of that ideal client, what social media platforms are they on? Are they still reading books and newspapers? Are they TV watchers? Are they families of 5 with an income of 150K per household? So an example would be like homeowners in the GTA with 1 or more children, household income over 150K. So this is kind of a visual representation of that. Sometimes when you're brainstorming who's your target market, thinking about, like, this is a little more consumer oriented, but maybe thinking about what kind of films that person would like and really narrowing it down to a person, what kind of restaurants would they visit. So really, like, you want to make sure that your business or your brand will speak to this kind of person and really understand their needs. For a business customer, you'd be looking at other characteristics like what industry are they in, what job titles are they in, what size of company are they in, what's the revenue size of their company. If you have a business, product or service or professional service or software, figuring out what's the target geography. What do you want them to buy out of your stable of products if you offer different services and products? How often do you want them to buy it? Who are the other competitors that they're going to be considering apart from you? And understanding what's their key needs. Like, is it a manager who runs a service department who has to minimize customer complaints? Are they under pressure to increase sales if you have a marketing related service? What's their mission and their mandate in their particular job? So it's really important to understand that so that your product addresses that. And again, for B2B customers, looking at their media habits. Are they on LinkedIn? Are they on Facebook? What's their age group? How do we access them? Are they going to any particular trade shows? Can we target them with direct mail? Can we telemarket them through direct sales? So examples I've seen from different clients, we've talked to different target customer examples could be like, Canadian importers and manufacturers, managers of call centers, CTOs at financial service companies. And this is sort of how we start to do customer personas for B2B. So when we put together, a marketing plan, for example, for a software company, they might have 5 customer personas. They might have, and we give the people a name. We give each persona a name. So one persona could be like Scott, the director or a VP of a customer service center with 100 or more staff. Dave, the IT manager. Mike, the channel sales manager. So think about, the different people in the organizations you want to meet and how, you want to have marketing materials that speak to their jobs and their needs. So hope that makes sense. And here's an example of an in-depth one. So we do an in-depth one on each one. So for example, Amy, her job is she's the VP of customer service for a small call center with 50 people. She has a bachelor's degree in management or business. She works in the call center and she pays attention to online advertising, professional email, and probably put LinkedIn on there. And her goals in her job are keeping costs low and saving money. She's very mindful of staying within her budget that she's been given at the call center, and she wants to provide a consistent customer experience. So she has 50 people working for her. She's tracking the satisfaction levels of what customers rate her call center staff, and she wants to make sure that overall everyone's getting a good satisfaction rating. So understanding who Amy is and what the goals of Amy's goals in her job and what Amy's worried about, what Amy's going to get rewarded for is really critical to marketing to Amy, right? So some of her fears and challenges is, if you were selling software to Amy, you need to get inside her brain and understand where, what's she doing in her job. Some of her challenges could be that she's got a small staff. It's really hard to introduce new technology to them. She'd have to do a whole training program to get them to adopt new technology. She might be really unwilling to convert to a new software because of that. And she might have a really tight budget. She's unable to spend on new software because the costs are high. And though she's manager of customer service, maybe management is into customer service, but not over the top. So she's got to kind of stay within limits and boundaries of her job. So hopefully that starts to give you an idea of, like, if we were marketing to Amy, how would we customize our sales approach and how would we customize our marketing messaging to be relevant to her, right? Another important thing when you think about strategy is, what's your market positioning, right? So I'm giving an example because it's easier to wrap your head around consumer stuff and chocolate, and I love chocolate. So thinking about the positioning, for example, of different chocolate products out there. I'm pretty into the Lindt chocolate balls. I'm a little too into the Lindt chocolate balls, but that's kind of like my drug of choice. So if we think about where's Lindt chocolate positioned compared to other chocolate on the market, it's probably a higher price chocolate. It's also a higher quality chocolate compared, probably similar to Ferrero Rocher. There's probably more gourmet chocolates on the market right now. Maybe like Laura Secord or Godiva would be up in this quadrant, versus like M&M's, Halloween chocolate, kids chocolate is more in the lower quadrant. So knowing where your brand is in this in market positioning is really also important, is kind of being aware of where you're at in the marketplace and also being aware of who the competitors are, right? To give you more of a B2B example, this is actually a market positioning diagram from Zoom. We're all using Zoom conferencing right now to listen to me. So basically, this is if you can see, let me see if I can zoom in on Zoom, where Zoom compares to other web conferencing software. So this is like, they did a quadrant. A quadrant doesn't just have to be on quality and price. They did a quadrant on ability to execute versus completeness of vision. Do I know what that means right now? No, I'd probably have to read their consulting report. But basically, they have a quadrant of, they call them challengers, leaders, visionaries, and niche players. And I think these are probably more lower end web conferencing solutions. But they did their own, the point is they did their own positioning exercise to figure out where they want to be in relation to their competitors and how they want to be seen by their consumers. And if you want to go further, and I could do a whole webinar just on strategy and goal setting. If you do want to kind of explore this further, I didn't make up all this wisdom myself. There's an amazing book called Traction, and Get a Grip on Your Business. And it's got a great diagram here of how to organize, kind of mapping out the core focus, core values. They also recommend doing a 10-year target and a 3-year picture. So this is a really great chart to fill out, and it gives you kind of a nice picture of where do we want our business to head in the next 1 to 3 years. And you can take a look at that. So for example, they have an example for a company called RCS International, and their target market is stated as mail producers that are able and willing to go after their Canadian direct marketing mail, major accounts using international providers for their Canadian mail. So they're obviously a company related to printing or mailing, and they put in their 3-year picture. So they want to get 1.5 plus million clients in the next 3 years. They want to have 50% of new projects as new clients. So this is all, like, I like this because it's very pragmatic goals. and also gives you a 10-year target. Most businesses are way too scared to think 10 years ahead. But, you know, if you can't, you know, this is more of a dream, a vision, so that your short-term visions kind of push you and propel you towards that. And this is kind of part 2 of that, the traction, they call it the EOS model. And they kind of give you more short-term, but like a 1-year plan, just a very short 1-year plan. What's your revenue goal? How are you going to measure it? So for RCS, it was $10 million 1-year revenue goal. Measurables, they want to measure that by getting 30 clients or projects, more than 50,000 each. And their goals for the year: hire a controller, have 14 new projects, 8 association touches, so reach out to 8 associations, and implement an operating system. So you can see this is not just about marketing planning, it's overall business planning. And they also do recommend these things called quarterly rocks, which are kind of like your quarterly goals. So their quarterly rocks are listed. So their overall annual goal is 10 million, their quarterly goal is 2 million, and their quarterly goal is getting 20 clients out of those 30, I guess. Creating and executing a sales strategy, revitalizing the culture, filling the pipeline with 3,000 names. So this is a great, great tool for just overall business planning. Because you need that, you know, my point with this is you need to have your business planning and strategic vision for the company before you get into your marketing planning. They really work hand in hand. So that was all about kind of that overall business planning. Now getting into the marketing planning. So once you determine sort of those strategic priorities for the company, for example, like how much money you want to make this year, what are the big strategic priorities, you want to start getting into the marketing. So there's different approaches that you can take with setting marketing goals. You could approach it based on who your target market is. So like this year, I'm going to go after 3 main niches. I'm going to go after the health sector, so doctors, lawyers, and the education sector. Or you could do a seasonal approach if you're more of a retail type business. Okay, I'm going to have my New Year's campaign, my Mother's Day campaign, my back to school campaign, and my Christmas campaign. Or you could just say 3 kind of big goals. So one goal could be, I want to increase sales and market share in this targeted sector. So it could be like the sectors we stated before: healthcare, legal, education. You know, another goal could be, I want to improve my communication with existing clients. So a lot of people, you know, they have an existing client base, but they're not reaching out to them enough throughout the year. So that could be a second goal. An improved website experience. That could be a third goal. Outreach to lapsed or older dormant clients. Launch in the US market could be a goal. So, or launch in any specific territory. Launch in a new province, launch in Etobicoke. Launch a new service or a product line could be a goal. Expand our presence in X sector, in the health sector. So that's similar to the other, you know, gain market share in a target sector. So those are all examples of the kind of goals you can have. And they need to always be measurable. So we'll talk about measurement at the end, but basically being able to state your goals in terms of sales revenue, in terms of web visitors, in terms of leads, that's all very powerful, because otherwise it's just a dream, right? If it's not measurable. And this is kind of an example of how, you know, I've done marketing plans in the past for corporate and for small business. So basically the first part is coming up with some of those KPIs, like the key performance indicators that I mentioned. So, you know, hey, this obviously for a very big business, but, you know, the overall revenue goal at the top delivers, you know, X million in total revenue, increased over X% over the year before, you know, get awareness. Some companies might have an awareness goal if they're measuring awareness of, like, you know, they might have UV means unique visitors. So the visitors to the website, you know, that's a really good measurable goal to have that everyone can measure. If you have Google Analytics on your website, you know, if you're a very digital based business, you might also have engagement time spent on the website as a key performance indicator. And PV is page views. So, page views and engagement time might be a really key performance metric for your executive team. So, putting the big numbers up there of what you're striving to get, and then kind of what's making up your business vision. So increasing user engagement, like I said, that could be time spent on website or a number of pages. Reinvigorating the brand, maybe you need to do a big rebranding exercise. Contributing to the business globally if you're part of another business. I know some of you are part of larger corporations, and maybe you're reporting into the US office. Influence the channel partners. So a lot of B2B businesses sell through resellers and partners. So those could be examples of really big, chunky corporate strategic goals. And then how do these tie into marketing objectives? So again, this is kind of a big corporate example, but launching a new product or service could be one marketing objectives. Conquering Quebec or conquering some new sales territory could be another objective. Expanding a division, and establishing B2B to leadership. Like if your main product is B2C and another area is B2B customers, that could be its own marketing objective. But as you can see, the business vision and the marketing vision tie in together. Driving increased audience visits, it's tying in to the overall vision for this business, which is a digital business, of getting increased share of audience, right? So I hope this is making sense for everyone. That's kind of more of a corporate example, but it could also apply. I also wanted to give a small business example because sometimes the corporate examples are really hard to relate to. So, maybe somebody with a small consulting business, their objective could be obtain 20 clients through client referrals, right? With the average sale per client. Develop 12 new circle of influence relationships. So 12 new referral relationships. And if you're a one-person business, this could be your strategy, right? And your marketing strategy could break down into communicating with clients at least 24 times throughout the year. This could be an e-newsletter, could be social media, systematizing client referrals to generate more referrals, attending 4 networking events per month, and staying on top of mind with your circle of influence. So that's your people, your referral network. So hopefully that makes more sense. It could be your marketing strategy could be as kind of high level or corporate as this, or it could be more tactical for a small business. And then it kind of, where does your strategy break into tactics? So, for that small consultant, communicating at least 24 times a year could break into a tactic of emailing monthly blog posts to their customers. It could break down into sending birthday and anniversary cards to their clients. It could break down into developing a referral follow-up process so that their current clients refer future clients. Attending 4 networking events could break into attending events at their Chamber of Commerce. If they're in the legal profession, attending events at their bar association, advertising in the legal business journal. Staying up top of mind with their circle of influence could break into sending LinkedIn invitations to all their new contacts, sending monthly newsletters to their circle of influence. So again, a lot of businesses will jump right into the tactics right away, which can be okay. But again, if you don't start with the strategy, you're kind of throwing spaghetti at a wall with tactics and hoping that they stick. So hope that makes sense to everybody. Feel free to put yes in the chat if you're following along so far. So just to wrap up this important strategy section, what I've got here is, oh, and Mike, thank you for the reminder, the 4 Ps, promotion, place, and people. Yes, I always forget all the Ps. So to wrap up the strategy and goals section, what you want to have done if you've done any, and again, you don't have to have every single box checked off, but you want to address the strategy and goals somehow. Writing out a core focus and vision, creating customer personas, determining your 3 to 5 strategic goals or priorities for your business this year, determining your 3 to 5 priority areas for your marketing this year based on your business goals, figuring out your measurable KPIs and setting some performance goals for those, whether that's revenue, whether that's page views, thank you for the yeses, whether that's engagement, like we saw with that corporate example. And if you want to get more advanced, figuring out your market positioning with respect to competitors. So once we've kind of done that hard legwork of figuring out the strategy and goals, we're in a much better position to really think about what are the tactics going to be. But there is still one more step. You need to do your research. Researching, going a little more in depth about your target market, and also about the marketing options out there, and also looking into your past performance. So there's a number of ways that you can do that, and it's good to kind of delve into the numbers and into your past performance, because a lot of times that will give you clues as to what you should be doing next, or what you should be repeating, what you should be never doing again because it was a money waster. So going into the market research, there's 4 aspects of market research, or I call them 4 areas of inquiry that you want to look at when you're doing kind of the market research and the past performance analysis. And I'm going to be going through these. The first area is looking at your past financials. The second one is looking at your customers or your target customers. The third area is looking at your industry and competition. And the fourth area is looking at your marketing, website, and social media performance. So how does that break out? So first with the financial, my least favorite but necessary part. That's why I majored in marketing, not in accounting. So I wouldn't have to, but I end up having to deal with finance, but it's okay, it's good. But it's very important to understand where your business is at and your financial status. How much money, not only to, once we set our goals of how much revenue we needed to make during the strategy part, but we want to know, how did we do last year? What is our revenue goal for this year? How much do we need to sell in order to be profitable, right? So that way we can figure out what marketing tactics are most effective to get those sales. How much money did we make last year? How much profit did we earn? How many customer orders did we get in the past year? Who are your best customers, and what are your best selling and most in-demand products and services? What's your most or least profitable service product that you're offering? So understanding, before going out and just putting a big marketing plan together, it's good to kind of take a step back and look at, the profitability of your products. Again, like, it's really not just a marketing plan, it's a business plan. Which products should you really be promoting? Because if you're going to be creating a great marketing plan to create money, to sell more money-losing products and services, then you're not serving yourself well. What's your average order value or an average sale? So looking at all of that is going to be really important to kind of get an overall 360-degree picture of the business. And how do you look at that? Well, first place to stop is your accounting software, your P&L statement. Taking a look at profitability numbers, taking a look at what percentage, if you're able to break down your sales and seeing what services and products were most best sellers and most profitable. It's important, I think, for marketers to know that. And if you don't know that, get a bookkeeper, get an accountant, so that you do have a good understanding of that. So I think having this financial assessment done is really important in the marketing planning process. Figuring out your forecast, your sales forecast. So again, if I borrow from different experts and leaders, Jason Swank is a agency expert that I follow, and he has a great sales forecasting spreadsheet that we've applied even for our own planning. And, you know, just figuring out how many projects do you have to sell in order to hit certain revenue goals, or how many products do you have to sell to hit certain revenue goals. Just having a basic understanding of that. So that's kind of the financial side. The next area of inquiry is the marketing. Marketing, your website, your SEO, taking a look at, you know, where your customers are coming from. So, you know, where your sales leads are most coming from, and having a good understanding of that. So the different stats I like to look at are the CRM, your customer relationship management tool. Not sure if all of you use a CRM, but I definitely recommend it, having some kind of CRM, even if it's just a spreadsheet for all businesses to be able to track where customers are coming from. Looking at your web analytics, usually through Google Analytics. Looking at your SEO, so your search engine optimization analytics, and being able to see where your web visitors are coming from for your site. Social media analytics, email analytics, call analytics. I'll be going through all these if you're getting too overwhelmed, but these are just the kind of stats that are available to you. You don't have to look at every single one, but this is just so you know what's out there that you can measure when you're trying to get a picture of where your business is at and where your customers are coming from. One of the most basic things that I see a lot of companies kind of miss out on doing, it's really, when you're doing the marketing area of inquiry, it's really about finding out where are my customers coming from. One of the most basic things you can do is putting on your contact form of your website, how did you hear about us? Just a little drop down, so that, and usually anytime I have the first conversation with any client, I always ask them, how did you hear about us? How did you find us? Because I want to know if our own SEO is working and if we're showing up on Google where we want to be showing up. So that's an easy way to just get this process going and get yourself thinking about, you know, where are my customers coming from? And if you are using a CRM, I'm just going to zoom in on this. Any proper CRM will have, you know, every time you enter a new customer in there or a new opportunity, it will have a section where you enter the source of this opportunity. So this is kind of just a sample screen from a CRM that shows you, you know, here's the customer, here's when we entered them in the system. Did we get them from a trade show? Did we find them through a referral? So just being able to track all that. Knowing where your traffic is coming from on Google Analytics. So this is a screenshot from Google Analytics. If you want to know where your web traffic is coming from, it's already there in Google Analytics in a chart waiting to be downloaded by you. So you should be able to look at your Google Analytics, and this is in the audience by source section, and see, you know, how many of your web visitors are coming from Google, how many of your web visitors are coming from your e-newsletter, how many of your web visitors are coming from Facebook. So this is really good information to have to feed into where to advertise, right? Even looking at e-newsletters, if you do any email marketing, being able to look at your web traffic and compare it to the dates you sent e-newsletters, and seeing, you know, which e-newsletters brought in the most visitors, right? So if you have, you know, you can see, look up that email newsletter and see what topic it was and see if it brought in, you know, got a lot of people clicking on your site. That's really important because it tells you what's relevant to your audience. Call statistics. So another area where I don't see businesses taking advantage of this, but businesses who do track their calls are really reaping the benefits. So we work with some clients with, we have them on a system called CallRail. So CallRail actually gives a tracking number for any call that comes into your business, whether it's through your website, whether they're just calling your main number, and it gives you statistics about those calls. So it basically takes your regular number that you get from Bell Canada or from Rogers, redirects it to a tracking number. Customers can, and you get the calls all the same way. It doesn't replace the phone company, but it tracks the calls. I can go more into it if any of you are interested later on. But basically, this is the kind of amazing reporting you can get. You can see basically where your calls are coming from. If you have Google AdWords, you're able to see which ads prompted which calls. It even gives you a recording of the call. So if you want to replay that call that that your salesperson had, you're able to play a recording and see, you can see which calls dropped off. So it gives you amazing insight, because if you have, a super long voicemail that asks people to choose from 12 extensions, you'll see which calls dropped off because of that. You'll also see which calls are answered. So it's a great, it's a great way to look into that area of your business, and to see what's happening with the calls that are coming in. Other areas where you can do research, looking into Statistics Canada, Census Bureau data. Industry associations often have a lot of market research, and Googling. Google is one of my main tools to get industry research or marketing data. If you want to go into like media tracking, so seeing how what kind of web audiences different TV channels have, or what kind of web audiences websites have. There's services like Environics. eMarketer has a lot of great data. And I'm going to give a shout out to one of my clients, Polaris and Manifold, who run a service where you can actually look up consumer data on just about every consumer segment, look up by postal code, where any kind of, basically you enter your postal code in their tool. You can look up, they'll tell you what people in your neighborhood, what their favorite soda pop is, what's the average income, what kind of car they're probably driving. So there's a lot of, if you want to get serious about researching your market, then you want to be able to kind of tap into these data services and understand it better. So that kind of goes hand in hand with building the persona. And also primary research, if you want to actually survey your customers, everything from online satisfaction surveys to surveying your customers as to whether they would buy a certain product or service, that's all really important as well. This is kind of like, this is a collection of tools in a toolbox I'm giving you. So I'm not saying do all of this, because I'm sure that would be overwhelming unless you're a gigantic corporation with a market research team. This is more like, here's the toolbox, pick what works for you. I hope that makes sense. So the last area of inquiry is, the second last area is customers. So understanding your customers. So you can understand a lot about your customers with some of those marketing research tools I mentioned in the last slide, but just kind of understanding customers' goals. Also understanding, for B2B's perspective, what keywords are your customers entering into Google when they're searching for your product? Also, what are they doing in their jobs? What associations do they belong to? What marketing events or trade shows are they going to? Where do they hang out on social media? So that's all kind of part of understanding your customer. And I think nowadays, definitely SEO is part of everybody's marketing plan, and being able to show up on Google. And integral to that is understanding what your target customers are searching for. So I'll give you an example of one analysis we recently did for a flat roofing company. So they do commercial flat roof repair, and their primary clients are other businesses who have warehouses, businesses who have manufacturing facilities, retail facilities. If you can think about anybody with a flat roof is a commercial business. So we did this analysis for them to understand what are the keywords that their target market is searching on. So for this, we used Google Keyword Planner that we have access to as a Google partner. So things like flat roof repair Toronto, flat roof replacement costs. So it's important to start to, like, when you think about your target market, to also start thinking about if you want to improve your ranking in Google, you really have to understand what keywords people are searching for your product sector, for your business, right? And Google Keyword Planner is a great tool to start doing that. And what we like to do is actually make a great big spreadsheet of all the keywords that we find for a client. and recommended keywords. So keyword, I think that's kind of, now we got a slide mix up here. That was kind of the customer segment. But the next section that we would focus on is looking at your industry and looking at your competition. So we touched a little bit about competition on the market positioning slide, but this is also a big area. And when we do a marketing plan for a client, one of the first places we look at is looking very deeply into their competition and what's the competition doing. Because a lot of times when you're thinking of marketing strategies, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Your competition is already trying a number of different strategies and succeeding or failing. So kind of taking a deep dive into what the competition is doing and reverse engineering that will give you a lot of strategies and ideas for your own business. So how do we do that? So number one is being in touch with your industry. So signing up for your industry blogs, going to industry trade shows, and getting involved in general in your industry so you know what the key trends are. Knowing who the competition is. So understanding who your competition, not just your local competition, but I like to sort of have inspirational or aspirational competition. So maybe there's, you know, a company in the US or a company in the UK that's definitely not your competition, but they're your aspiration. So just following them on social media, Googling them, reading their blogs, finding out what they're doing for their business will give you a lot of insight and inspiration and ideas for your business. I call it the business crush. So I have like a business crush on certain companies and brands, and I follow them to kind of see, you know, design style, what they're doing for their marketing, how they, you know, what kind of videos they're putting out. So figuring out who your business crush is and following them. You know, where are your competitors advertising? What are your competitors doing on social media? So are you, like, a lot of businesses don't actually even follow their competitors on social media, but you should know what, you know, you can follow them with a different Twitter handle or with a private Twitter handle so your competition doesn't know you're following them, but it is important to do, and it's legal. But knowing what social media channels they're active on, you know, seeing who their followers are or who they're following. What are they posting about? What trade shows are they exhibiting at? A lot of times, you know, your competitors are going to post anytime they're at a trade show. So sometimes just looking through their Twitter feed or their Facebook feed, they're going to post photos from a trade show because marketing departments like to do that, and they like to show off that they're doing their job. So, you know, you could probably get a list of potential trade shows just by going through your competitor's Twitter feed. Understanding your competitor's SEO strategy. What's your competitor blogging about? So content marketing ideas you can also get by examining your competitor. And a few ways you can do that. Number one, just Google your competitor. Google and check out their website. Following their social media, what hashtags are they using? I mentioned trade shows. We talked about followers and engagements, you know, even having a spreadsheet, keeping track of whether your competitors' followers are going up or down. Visiting your competitors' websites, subscribing to their newsletters. And one thing we like to do is analyzing their search engine optimization, which you can do with tools like SEMrush. So you can find out so much about your competitors legally, again, with different software tools that we have available, and we can help you with as well with these kind of reports. So for example, this is just a chart where we looked at two competitors of one of our clients, and we were able to see, you know, where they're ranking on Google. We're able to see whether they have an AdWords campaign, a paid search campaign happening. We were able to see how many backlinks they have, which is how many companies are linking to their website. We were able to see if they're doing display advertising, which is the banner ad campaigns on Google. So you're able to find out a huge amount of information and kind of see, and, you know, guess what? If you're looking at your, you know, three main competitors, they're all doing Google AdWords and you're not, that should probably be one of the first things on your your marketing tactics list when you're planning out your campaigns. Even looking, a lot of people don't know that you can actually look up your competitors, all your competitors' old Facebook ads. There's a hidden thing in Facebook called Ad Library, and if you follow your competitor and like their Facebook page, you're actually able to see any ad they've ever run on Facebook, which is pretty amazing. And I love looking at sample ads and competitors' ads because it gives us a lot of ideas, for our own ads, or we look at our clients' competitors' ads to think of ideas for our clients. So that's kind of those 4 areas of inquiries. Again, I know it's a lot, but pick out the tools that make sense for you. Understanding financial performance, understanding what's selling and what's profitable in your business, doing a sales forecast, looking at your web analytics and your social analytics, and looking at your competitors, and especially your competitors' SEO. Now getting into, take a breath, now it's time, now I think you have a really good idea of what your goals are, where your customers are at, where your competitors are at. Now it's time to figure out, where do we advertise and what do we do? And in marketing, there's a ton, there's, as this little flower diagram shows, there's so many different ways to market your business and to advertise, everything from trade shows to direct mail to all the options in digital marketing nowadays, to actually having your salespeople on the phone selling, social media, traditional advertising, public relations. So how do you figure out what to do? So ideally, based on your market research, based on your competitor research, you now have a few bullet points jotted down of like, okay, my competitors are doing Google advertising and they're at these 3 trade shows, and they've got articles in these industry journals. So I think that those 2 out of 3, at least, of those tactics are something I should do, right? So that was the idea of like, if you've done steps 1 and 2, step 3, you should already kind of have an idea of what would work for you. And I like to separate like the advertising areas into outbound and inbound. So by outbound advertising, I mean things like Google advertising, Google search and display, and when you think about outbound advertising, you're thinking about, where should I advertise to reach my target market in a relevant way? So is it going to be at a trade journal? Is it going to be in a trade event? How many people do I need to actually make this sale? How much is it going to cost? And what's the best ROI for my marketing dollars? So these are all kind of questions to think about when you decide where to advertise. When you think about inbound advertising, so inbound advertising is getting the client to come to you and to opt in to your mailing list, essentially. So when you're thinking about your inbound marketing, you're thinking about, what can I do to make my site stickier? What kind of content can I offer to attract the right kind of customers? So this is kind of a marketing menu I've put together of just different areas you could plug into your marketing plan under outbound and inbound type of marketing. So under outbound, you could be thinking about digital advertising. So, and this is a huge, again, I could do a webinar just about digital advertising, but nowadays, most companies need some form of like Google advertising, LinkedIn advertising, Facebook ads, depending on who they're targeting. And depending on your company, you could also still be advertising on print. Radio is still really effective for a lot of businesses, TV, and these are a little more for consumer businesses. Direct mail. So are you looking at buying a mailing list? So for B2B advertising, a lot of companies don't know that you can actually buy lists for certain industries or for certain job titles. And there's list sellers that specialize in this, like I listed a few of them here. The Canadian one is called Scott's Directories. I actually used to work for a company that owned Scott's Directories, but you can actually buy mailing lists of doctors, dentists, of lawyers, of people in certain industries that you can get through these companies. So direct mail could be a really effective strategy for you. And in some circumstances, you got to be aware of anti-spam laws. You can even buy email lists or co-opt email lists of publishers who will email on your behalf. So even thinking about trade magazines, what trade magazines or what industry websites you want to advertise on. And I got a question about Castle, and if I can save that till the end, that would be great. I'll get back to you, Alex. What social media do you want to advertise in? How do you want to do your email marketing throughout the year? SEO, how do you want to improve your site for search engine optimization? So that could include like a link building campaign. It could include improving your site content, so to improve your search ranking. It could include getting onto certain online directories or getting onto Google Maps to increase your, those are all things that can increase your search rankings. So I'm gonna save all these questions till the end. Trade shows, what trade shows and expos do you want to get onto? Do you want to be doing any PR? Do you want to, you know, that putting out articles in certain trade publications, I think when it comes to B2B, or trying to get TV or radio or traditional media appearances or getting blogged about. So that could be its own strategy. What marketing materials do you need for the year? Are you going to be putting out a new brochure? Are you going to be putting out a new catalog for your products? Client appreciation. When I was with Yahoo, client appreciation in the form of parties, mixers, wine and cheese nights, cocktail nights, that are taking clients out for dinner. That was part of our actual marketing strategy. So think about, you know, like some companies like to buy, you know, Leafs tickets, Blue Jays tickets. You know, if you're a big company, you may have like Raptors box or whatever, that if you've got the marketing budget for that. So think about client appreciation as part of your strategy as well. And again, if you want to dive deep into where to advertise, looking at media directories. So there's media directories like SRDS or Card Online. They are directories of, like, they have 1 million trade publications and magazines and websites listed in there. So you're able to search in there. They're really used by people who plan advertising for a living, but anyone can get a subscription to that and be able to research where to advertise through that. So moving on to inbound. So that's all kind of places where you can advertise. Some of these areas kind of inbound and outbound cross into each other. But when we think about what inbound we want to plan for our marketing for the year, think about, again, SEO. You know, what do we want to do on our website to improve the findability of that website? So are your keywords built into your website's header tags and meta tags? Do you have the right content on your website to attract your target market? Like, we get a lot of leads at Napkin Marketing because of certain blog posts we have. So having that built into your marketing plan, thinking about content marketing, what you want to blog about throughout the year, and making sure you blog about things that are related to keywords that your clients are searching on, is really important. Thinking about, you know, sponsoring events and even being a speaker at trade shows and events, and planning for that as part of your marketing. Building a referral network and thinking about how, you know, working with your sales team, if you have a sales team, and thinking about what strategy you can work with them on. And also, you know, what we're doing right now, holding our own webinar, holding your own seminars. That could also be an inbound marketing strategy, as well as having newsletters and video and YouTube. Again, this is a huge grab bag of different strategies and tools, but this is something that, you know, you can look into when you're planning your own and plug in what fits for you. And again, top 3 trends to watch for 2020 that we see is definitely being able to have some kind of inbound marketing strategy for your company. I'll show you a few examples soon. Having video as part of your plan. More and more, we're seeing that consumers don't want to read content, but they want to watch content. So being able to communicate about your company through video, whether that's video on LinkedIn, and short video is the key. People have attention spans of gnats nowadays. So being able to produce video as part of your communications and to tell the story of your business is really important nowadays. And the third trend is smarter online advertising, or I should say smarter digital. So yes, you will be able to download this later to answer you quick. And by that I mean remarketing, display advertising, and online video advertising. So having that, if you could pick out 3 things from the list that I showed you before to kind of bake into your plan next year, I would say those are the 3 things that are kind of the must-haves. And to give you an example, because I know not everyone understands what I mean by inbound marketing, these are a couple inbound marketing campaigns that I just pulled off my phone from ads I saw this morning. So inbound marketing is usually, traditionally, giving away some kind of content giveaway in order for people to sign up for your list. And I've been hearing for like 10 years that ebooks are gone the way of the dodo, and ebooks are dead, and why do ebooks? Because everyone's doing ebooks. Every big company is still doing ebooks to build their email list. So this is an example from Eventbrite, where they're giving away a free ebook about how to transform your event marketing and promotion strategy, getting people onto their lead list that way. And even Microsoft is doing ebooks with crash course on running productive meetings, get the meetings guide. So ebooks and this is something we can do, if anyone wants to follow up later, think about how to launch an ebook for your business. We've done this successfully for several clients, and it's something we highly recommend, whether it's, it doesn't have to always be an ebook. It can even be a video that people sign up to watch, but you should have something on your website that people can take away as a free content, as a free gift almost, that they get a sampling of something that you offer your business, and also get on your list at the same time. Another example of inbound marketing and just making your site, planning your site so it converts better. If you have any kind of demo, having your site so that people are signing up to get some kind of demo or to get understand what you do. So, the 4 things we recommend to have on your website to make it convert better is definitely having a blog, having important contact information right at the top of your site, like this company does, having your site be mobile responsive, kind of a given nowadays, and having free content giveaways. So this is an example of a video giveaway, whereas I gave the ebook giveaway example before. Yeah, so getting into like SEO a little bit and thinking about that inbound side and what content to plan for your site, I'm going to go back to my call center software example again. So when these are examples of keywords that people search for when they're interested in buying call center software. So it's just inbound call center software, call routing, all of these are keywords. So if a company knows what its keywords are, what do you do about them then? So the answer is bake them into the content and blogs of your website. So if you want to be found on Google, you want to be ranked on Google for these keywords, you want to have, as part of your marketing plan, blog posts being written throughout the year that relate to your keywords. So for example, customer experience software for the call center, how to choose the best call center software solution. These are all examples of blog posts you can do based on your keywords. So when you're thinking about your media campaigns, it's also a good time to think about what content you want to produce for the year and around your keywords. And finally, your marketing budget, actually putting together your marketing budget through this step. So this is a template marketing budget. You can have it in the slides later, but like once you have an idea of like what trade shows you want to be at, where you want to advertise, you know, where the amount of blog posts you want to do, now it's time to put it all together into a budget, right? So, you know, in this budget, we have allocation for events, the events we want to do that year. We have allocation for our website development and improvement. We have allocation for any print advertising we want to do or SEO program. We have allocation for public relations. We have allocation for the marketing agency who will handle all of this. Corporate brand development if we want to rebrand and redo our logo. And any other fees you can think of, you know, are you going to have to hire maybe a market research firm? Are you going to have industry associations that you're a member of that, you know, you have to account for those fees? So a good marketing budget will cover as much of that, as much of those expenses, foreseeable expenses as possible. Research, you know, costs of your writing, costs of your marketing agency, you know, your email service if you're using MailChimp, Constant Contact, HubSpot. Staff time, if you're, whether you're, depends if your staff are in-house or freelance. And also think about, you know, the opportunity cost of not advertising. So this is, you know, if you're going to budget, sometimes the opportunity of not budgeting and not planning can be very expensive. Press release service can also go into your budget, you know, web design service, programming, and SEO. And some typical costs you might expect, this is just pulled out of different campaigns we've run. You know, Google advertising can range from $2,000 a month all the way to $30,000 a month, depending, you know, and more, depending on what kind of target market you want to reach and where the geography you're trying to reach. So it really, really ranges. LinkedIn sponsored posts, but I gave an example to reach 170,000 impressions, which is the number of times the ad's seen, is about $1,900. LinkedIn sponsored posts for 128,000 impressions, about $1,400. So this just gives you an idea of rough budget, very rough budgets. Your mileage will vary depending on your targeting needs. So to wrap up this section, when we're coming up with our campaign and media ideas, we're deciding where we're going to advertise. We're brainstorming the content of our blog posts based on keywords our clients search for. We're developing our marketing budget, and we're reviewing our sites to make it convert better. Marketing calendar. So this is, once you've kind of really got an idea of where you're advertising, what you're going to spend, it's time to put together a calendar. So when you're putting together the calendar, thinking about when are we going to schedule our advertising, when are we going to schedule certain social media posts, when are we going to do our email blasts, are you going to run out of money to advertise at key times throughout the year? You want to like schedule out your money and schedule out your activities. And you also want to make sure if you're not going to go dark at certain times of the year, which is stop advertising. When you think about this, you think about kind of your customer journey and where your customers, you know, might be hearing from you. So they might be starting off hearing about your company from word of mouth. They might sign up for your email list with the content giveaway, follow you on social media, start getting your email newsletter, being retargeted by your Google AdWords, you know, and once they're in the decision-making phase, they might be looking at reviews, they might be following your social media, they might be receiving your direct mail, going on your website, you know, looking at your newsletters and actually going to the sales presentation, maybe going to a webinar. So that's all examples of the customer journey. And you want to think about your campaign, you know, starting with a campaign, where are you going to advertise? Is it going to be on circulars or flyers? Is it going to be on TV? Is it going to be on a website? Kind of thinking about all the touch points of where you want to advertise. And then kind of putting it together in a calendar. And this is kind of a Gantt chart style of where you want to advertise. And we do have a template for you for anyone who fills out the survey. That template will be available. And another way to think for marketing calendars, a great time saver is email automation, which you can do on MailChimp. So you can actually schedule out a drip campaign throughout the year, and that's a great time saver to schedule out your marketing as well. So to wrap up this part, we're gonna, we like to make a 30-day plan, 60-day plan, and a 90-day plan. Some companies just try to do a 90-day plan. We like to make a marketing calendar with 30 to 60-day time horizon. It's too hard to plan every little thing throughout the year. Planning your blog posts and social media content, and researching and booking trade shows and events. And if you're really advanced, kind of setting up marketing automation and email automation. And finally, the last part, or second last part, is actually executing all this. So this is more the day-to-day organization of how, organizing your day so you actually execute these projects, thinking about what are the biggest priorities. Does your staff need any special training to execute all this? How do you get your help that you need for specialized tasks, and who do you outsource to potentially? And we like to use Asana. There's many other project management tools out there, but we like to use Asana to organize and execute our projects. And then basically when you're executing, you're actually running your campaigns and events, or you're working with a vendor to run them. Work with Napkin Marketing to run your events. Reviewing your staffing requirements on a regular basis, and if you're really advanced, using online project management to manage it all. And staying fearless. So remember that, you don't have to be afraid to make marketing decisions. For most small businesses, most marketing decisions can be undone. And how do we measure performance? So basically, at the last step, making sure that you're measuring performance on an ongoing basis, looking at how you're doing with your sales, seeing what campaigns converted best, what processes and people do we need to do our marketing that we can't do now, and how can we do even better next year? And some of the tools we look at to measure performance are our monthly profit and loss, advertising performance, web traffic and conversions, email campaign performance, and our social engagement stats, our social media stats. So we prepare dashboards on Google Data Studio for our clients, and we're able to show them, their web analytics. We're also able to tie into our a dashboard, show them how different campaigns are performing. So if you're interested, we could also put that together for your company. And finally, to wrap up kind of the measurement, is basically ongoing review of your campaign results, tracking your leads and conversions, and working with what you're learning, putting your learning into the next planning cycle that you do. So that kind of wraps up where marketing planning is. As you can see, it's definitely a science as well as an art, mixture of research and putting together a marketing mix. And where do we go from here? So I know this is all of this is quite overwhelming for a lot of people, and especially for smaller businesses that don't have a full-time marketing department, that's where we can come in to help, because we do these kind of plans on a regular basis for companies, and we like to also start with a small digestible plan. So I know many of you today are kind of at the starting point of your marketing planning for next year, and we want to be able to support and assist. So what we'd like to help you with today to get this started is, so you don't have to do this all alone, is where we like to start is a website audit and strategy session. So where this is at is it gets you started looking at your marketing planning. It gives you a website report card, a user experience report card. It gives you an overview of your SEO and how visible you are on Google. Even looks at technical issues like your website security, your traffic performance for the year. We also give you a list of recommended keywords for your business based on Google Keyword Planner. And we also do a 1-hour strategy session where I give you marketing and advertising recommendations, content and blogging ideas, and recommended topics, and lead generation ideas. So you kind of get a mini version of a big marketing plan. And I find this is really useful for a lot of companies to kind of get focused on their marketing and their own planning. And if they want, think about what advertising or marketing they need to do for their year. And if they want to work with us to execute on some of those campaign ideas, they're free to do that. If they want to work with their internal team to execute that, you're free to do that as well. But this is, I don't know if you have the link to that. Matthew, if you want to post the link. So if you are interested, this is the kind of report we also provide as part of our website audit. So you could see it's, this is a screenshot of it. It's very detailed. It gives you a score for different areas of your site, from user experience to how good your site is for converting. And not only do we give you a score, but we also give you actionable strategies based on that score. So Matthew, if you can post the link
to the survey?
Yeah, to that, no, to the audit, signing up for the Once Hub.
Signing up for the Once Hub, sure.
Yeah. So basically, you get a pretty in-depth report that touches on most of the areas that I've talked about through this whole presentation, as well as a 1-hour consultation with myself to help you break it down, to help you understand, and also give you recommendations for your business based on the experience that I have, working with hundreds of businesses. And we usually charge about $8.99. I think we actually usually charge about $1,000 for this kind of session and the report. We're offering it today for $500, and it's, if you're looking to invest in your business, I hope that everyone has more than $500 to invest in their marketing for any viable business throughout the year. But we also like to get everyone started, especially for businesses who haven't worked with us before. We don't know you, you don't know us. Gives you a way to kind of get started working with us for an affordable fee, and also be able for us to cover our time and provide, a heck of a lot of value to you, and a customized plan to kind of get you started with your marketing in the right direction for 2020. So if you're interested in this, I think Matt's just posted the link on there.
Should be there now.
Yep. So feel free to schedule today. The price goes up tomorrow. So if you book within the next 24 hours, it's $4.99. After that, it's $8.99. And we're excited to work with you and get to know your business and get going on this, kind of start you on the right path. The other thing we'd love to get today is your feedback. And I think you've learned about our, where's our survey link here? Oh, feedback survey. So this is the first webinar we've done in a little while. I used to do them a little more often, but we'd love to know, I'd love to know how I did today and if I covered the right topics. And I appreciate you guys being my guinea pigs for my first webinar in like a year. So I'd love to know how I did, how we can improve, because we're also working on our own marketing and we want to make sure we deliver the right content to you guys. And as a bonus for filling out the survey, we're also going to send you some marketing planning templates, a marketing budget template, and you'll get the Excel sheet so you can fill them out for your own business, a sales forecast worksheet, and a social planning template. So I think Matthew's got the links in there. And I'm opening it up for questions. Sorry, I'm opening it up a little bit late, but I'm happy to answer any questions if you guys want to put in the chat. I think somebody asked about Meltwater, and I believe that's a research tool, a consumer research tool. Is that right? Was that Greg asked about that? Yeah, so feel free to put any, yeah. Oh, sorry, Guy. So Guy, to be honest, I haven't had hands-on experience on meltwater. So I don't know if I can probably get back to you later about that. If you put your email in the chat, and just Matthew will remind me to get back to you. But yeah, I'm not as familiar with meltwater. If I don't know, Matthew, can you make it so people can ask questions like with voice?
Yeah, I can put the allow audio. Give me a second.
Yes, Sue asked if she can forward this replay to my clients. Yep, I'm happy to do that. We'll send you the link, Sue, or you'll get the link actually like later today when I send out the replay. Happy to help with that.
Guy, I've allowed you to talk, so you can ask your question when ready.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I very much enjoyed the presentations thus far. Yeah, just I launched my own, creative writing service, and I'm a communications consultant. Less into the marketing. I kind of work for people like you, to be honest. Within
Yeah. I think I recognize your name. I think we used to work together or something.
Well, I do, because I don't want to distract it, but yeah, I used to work for BIG.
Yeah, that's right. It's IG. Okay.
Yeah, and so when you referred to some of those list rental services and databases, when I first did a soft launch of my consulting this summer, I contacted some of those lists, and then I contacted a friend of mine who's just retired from marketing, and I was asking her about lists, and she said, "You really got to check out this Meltwater, and I haven't seen it yet, but one of my clients is showing it to me tomorrow. Really worth checking out. What Meltwater did, it's some company that amalgamated a whole bunch of list services, and I've heard good things about it. I'm just putting it out there. What they do is they provide you with, it's a searchable database of journalists and writers and what they call influencers.
Right. Yeah.
And it talks about what they're writing about and what their beat is, so to speak, and so that you can then send them very targeted information pieces. So
Yeah.
that
I think that's probably it sounds like a really good database, probably more for, PR specialists and people who are I could see PR, public relations people using that. I'm not sure if it's for the average business.
No, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's expensive too, which is why I'm happy this client has it, and I can maybe make.
Yeah, I think it sounds good for. Yeah, if your business is super focused on some businesses are all about putting out investor press releases. So yeah, if your business is focused on that, this is probably a good tool. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't recommend it to the average client.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? I'm sticking around, so well, feel free, if Matthew, if you want to just post the link again. Yeah, we'd be excited to work with you. If you're not interested in the strategy session, but you do have a particular project in mind, again, we are able to help you in any of these areas, from SEO to web design to email marketing. Otherwise, we'd love to get everyone's feedback in the survey and also send you those useful templates. So feel free to reach out to us, and we'd love to work with you all. And again, thanks so much for attending. Thanks in advance for your feedback, and good luck with your planning this year.
Quick question. I'm sure other people have this in their minds. If we want a copy of these slides, what's the easiest way to download it?
We'll be sending a link out to,
Okay.
yeah, we'll be sending a link out to a replay of the presentation. I'm not sure if I can send out my slides, to be honest.
No, I know.
But we will send a video replay for sure.
Okay, that's great. Because what I plan to do is I want to share this with one of my clients and suggest to them that you guys come in and audit their marketing, even though they have a marketing guy. Maybe if the marketing guy is open to it, could be a nice way to sort of have him, audit what he's doing. I don't know if he's open to that, but I also see myself using you guys to provide the sort of back end resource to come in and do stuff that's beyond my capabilities as a sole practitioner. So that this is
Yeah, definitely. We're like happy to help and partner, and maybe we can have an offline conversation more about that. That sounds
for
great.
sure.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks.
Appreciate the referral. So again, thank you so much, everybody. Look forward to speaking with you offline, and have a great rest of the afternoon. I'm gonna take a big drink of water now. Okay, thank you so much. How do we end? Can you end it, Matthew?
Yep. All right, thanks, guys.
Okay, thanks everybody.